So then, let's take a look back at my championship predictions from the start of the season. I'll be doing this, of course, in a few weeks for the Premier League, where you can laugh at me then too, because I inevitably have had some howlers. I've definitely done that in this video, I can tell you that. Now, of course, as a Nottingham Forest fan, I am not a championship fan these days, only I've spent most of my life, up until the last few years, following a team in the championship, so I'm very used to it. Unfortunately, it's just as chaotic and unpredictable as ever, so let's embarrass myself. Blackburn Rovers, I said 20th, they came 7th. Already we're off to a flyer. Minus 13 difference. We may as well just end the video there. It's not really a bad prediction when you think about it, because I said they'll be 20th when they came 19th the year before. It's not really crazy. Overall a good season for Blackburn. It's normally quite chaotic for them. John Eustace leaving to go to a certain team at the bottom end of the league. Don't quite understand that even now, even though it did pay off for him in the end. We'll talk about that. It looked like that was going to break Blackburn's season because they fell off once he left, but they ended up recovering, but not quite enough to get into the playoffs. So not a bad season really, but the prediction doesn't look good. Bristol City, very refreshing to see them in the playoffs. A team that doesn't normally do a great deal, hasn't been in the playoffs since 1998. Pitch invasion, bit premature, I've got to say, but I do also understand why they did it. It's nice to see them have a bit of success, but can they get over the line in the playoffs? It's going to be one hell of an ask if they get through to the Premier League. I think they will be, well, probably well at their depth, but it would be a great story regardless. Burnley, I can't believe this is wrong, because they got 100 points and they didn't win the league. They didn't come first. That's obviously where I put them. I can't even be disheartened about this one. Any other season they win the league. They only conceded 16 all season. Joe Wall's part of the team, so it's no surprise. Barely played, but we ignore that. Only 2 defeats. You know, that's an unbelievable record, and that could bode well for them, having such a strong record in the Championship defensively, to step up to the Premier League. But in terms of scoring goals, they've had 11 goalless draws this season. They've got to turn some of those into wins, otherwise they're going to be in trouble. And can Scott Parker make the step up to the Premier League? Well, so far, he's not had the best record at that level. Cardiff, what a disastrous campaign for them, from one end of the table to the other. I said 16th, they came rock bottom, and 90% of the season they were not rock bottom until the very end. So something pretty catastrophic went wrong at the end of the season to only win 2 of the last 20 league matches. Only won 9 games all season. I mean, it was a dire campaign for them, and a team like Cardiff really should not be falling to the 3rd tier. So pretty sorry state of affairs for them. And I don't even fully know if they bounce back, honestly. With a squad like that, they should, but they're probably going to lose an awful lot of it. Next, we've got Coventry. I said they'd be 3rd, they came 5th. Frank Lampard has made me look very clever, because without him, this could have been way out. They were 17th when Lampard joined. I said 3rd, that could have been a howler. But Lampard got Coventry a 2nd playoff spot in 3 seasons. And it's been a really chaotic few years for them. The FA Cup semi-final, in which they were, let's be honest, robbed against Man United. 2 playoff campaigns. The last 2 seasons they've had to rally to get near the playoffs and then in them. It's been pretty chaotic, and for their sake, I really hope they get over the line this time, because that would be a great story. Right, we'll talk about this team as quickly as possible, I promise. Derby County, I said they'd be 22nd, they came 19th. In the end, you know what? Looked a bit stupid, John Eustace leaving a playoff team to go to the bottom end of the league, but it worked for him. It worked for Derby. They did end up staying up. I still think it's a bit bizarre making that move down the league, but it worked. And yeah, I'm not saying I'm happy about that, but credit to him for doing so, because they looked dead and buried at one stage. That's all I'm going to say, really. I don't really want to say much more than that on that team. Hull City, this was another absolute clanger. I said they'd be 12th, they came 21st. I mean, what did you expect when you lose all your key players and you sack your manager, who's now doing a great job over in the French League? It was just asking for it. I don't know why I didn't see it, really. I didn't think it'd be 21st, though. I saw there'd be a bit of a drop-off from being a playoff contender, but 21st is insane, and it looks like they're going to be parting company with Ruben Sellers as well, which I don't really know if that's the right decision. It does seem a bit much. Leeds, I mean, they got 100 points, the 2nd team in this season to get 100 points. That says a lot about the strength of the division. I said they'd be 4th though. I don't really know why I was a little bit sceptical. Maybe it was the playoff failure, of course, losing a few key players. Didn't know if Daniel Farke could produce again. He is going to get the chance to be in the Premier League. That's now official. There was some doubt about his future. Yeah, 95 goals scored. They won 6-0 recently. The big Cardiff 7-0. They know how to score at this level. Can they replicate it in the Premier League? Defensively, a decent return. Only 30 conceded 2. I think Leeds have the best chance because they can defend and they can attack. But again, can they replicate it at the top level? Luton. Yeah. I might just move on to the next team. I said they'd be second, they came 22nd. That's a place of 20 places. Let's just not hold back on that one. Everyone got Luton wrong. Maybe some thought they'd implode to this level. I don't even think I said that it was going to be completely out of the question. And I don't really know why I went as high as second. I think a playoff spot would have been more reasonable. Only really, nothing was reasonable anywhere near that end of the table for Luton. Just an absolute disastrous campaign. Probably sticking with Rob Edwards too long. If they had gone to Matt Bloomfield earlier, I think they probably would have stayed up because he did get them going towards the end, but it was a bit too little too late really. Middlesbrough next. I said they'd be 7th. They came in 10th. I think an underachievement really for them is Michael Carrick the future. He got them the playoffs the first attempt. They've now failed the last few years. Has that adventure kind of ran its course? I possibly think it has. The squad like Borough's, I think, should be getting playoffs most seasons. If it isn't getting promoted, it should be regularly competing at that end of the table, but maybe just steam's ran out for Borough, possibly. Millwall, I said they'd be 10th, they came 8th. At one stage on the last day they were in the playoffs, which would have been bad for my prediction, kind of, but great for them. They've been consistently challenging for the playoffs now the last several seasons. I think they do probably overachieve a little bit for a club of their size, and fair play, they're a solid team at this level. They bounced back from a tough season last year and had a good one again this year with Alex Neil. A very strong defensive record, but not the greatest goal scoring record, so that's a good benchmark to improve. Norwich City, I said they'd be in 9th and they came 13th. Not a great season for them really, an underachievement for a team that used to be so strong at this level and quite regularly in the Premier League. Johannes Hoff-Torp certainly didn't work though. It ended up being a bit of a experimental season. There was a lot of moments where Norwich did look like they were a really dangerous side, but then they had some real off days as well. So despite scoring the second most goals in the league behind Leeds, they came 13th. They need a bit of a rebuild and a clear out this summer if they want to push on next season. Oxford United, possibly a bit of a lazy shout from me because I said they'd be 24th, they came 17th. That's a difference of 7. Not great, but I think a lot of people would have said Oxford would go down. But I think they surprised a lot, honestly. They were a very competitive, decent championship side. They ended up being a little bit close for comfort towards the end of the season, flirting with relegation, but they always looked pretty stable and not a serious contender for it. You know, they had every reason to be in a relegation battle, and they weren't. You know, Gary Rowett made them a very solid outfit. Plymouth, if Wayne Rooney wasn't the manager, I think Plymouth stay up, because under their new boss, who I can't say his name correctly, I think they would have stayed up with him because he's been a breath of fresh air at Plymouth. That win against Liverpool, of course, was historic, but again, it was just a bit too little too late from them, just like it was with Luton. The only one I got bang on correct. So in one way, I'm pleased they didn't get him early on. I got one correct. Portsmouth, the only promoted team that I actually had any faith in. I said 19th, they came 16th. Not a bad prediction that at all. Again, ended up being a real solid championship side, and they had a really bad start to the season. They were at one stage looking like they were going to fall adrift. So to turn it around like they did and end up staying up pretty comfortably in 16th is a very impressive return from Portsmouth. It's about time really. They had so many years where they were locked in League One. To have a year like this is fantastic from them. It's all about kicking on now and building from this. Next we've got Preston. The first time really that Preston have been in danger of leaving the league in any way, whether it's up or down. More likely to be down from their point of view. Having sacked Ryan Lowe after one game, which was a bit of a crazy decision, or just move in general. Paul Heckingbottom never really got going with them, and Preston had a very poor end to the season and ended up having to look over their shoulder good and proper. An FA Cup quarter-final was good, but in the league it wasn't even really steady this time. It ended up being a bit perilous. QPR, I said they would be 14th, they came 15th. It's not a hard prediction, QPR. They could have been in the relegation scrap again, but QPR, you look at their historical finishes, this is where they are. They are mid-table mediocrity. You know, that's what they do. And it's a shame, really, because I think they have potential to do it right, especially with Marty Cifuentes. But it looks like he's going to be leaving the club this summer. And they've got a lot of likeable players, but not really enough to push on. But at least they weren't near the bottom three this time. Sheffield United, I think there was a lot of unrest going into the season with the points deduction, that woeful Premier League season. I said they'd be 5th, they came 3rd, so I still got a playoff place correct. I wasn't really sure whether they'd, you know, possibly have a regression season like Luton, or they could do well. In the end, that squad was always going to do well with the players they had available and the players they signed as well. A few too many defeats at the end of the season cost them the top 2 in the end, but any of the season they probably get automatics with 90 points. Sheffield Wednesday, a really impressive season really when you consider that they only just survived last season relegation. I said 11th, they came 12th, a solid season from them. Looked like they might be outside playoff contenders at times, but it was never really going to happen because it's all down to Danny Rowell, let's be real. He is the saviour, he is everything that makes that club tick, because off the field there's still a lot of issues with Chansiri, their owner, who is clearly not fit for purpose. It was only this season that there was reports of players not being paid on time, and you know, this is, I think, been a long-term problem for Sheffield Wednesday, and it is Danny Rowell that was clearly the thing that has made them be a side not even close to relegation. So to get 12 is incredible. If he leaves though, which he's heavily likely to, they could be in trouble. Stoke City, it is a gradual regression. 16th, 17th, 18th. Their last 3 finishes now this season. They had to go to the last day to seal their safety. It's just another season where they just existed at this level, really. A few moments where it looked like they were decent, and then plenty of moments where they were just an embarrassment. Leeds, for example, which is all I need to say. Don't really know what direction they're going in, but it feels like they're going down more than up, and they haven't finished above 14th since their Premier League relegation in 2018. Sunderland, I said they'd be in 13th, they came 4th, an easy one to get wrong. They came 16th the year before. Was it a case of them bouncing back like they did, or staying put? I don't think it's a disastrous prediction, this at all. It's just one that was really hard to get right. A very exciting team, a lot of good players in that side. They were even in the title race until even like January, February time. But not a good end to the season. They haven't got momentum going into the playoffs, and that could be a real issue for them. Swansea City, they had an excellent end to the season under Alan Sheen, who came in as the caretaker boss, of course, now got the job permanently, probably deservedly so. I said they'll be 17th because they didn't have a good year last year. I think this is probably a decent season for them to build off. Can they do that though? You know, they got to a decent position under Russell Martin, then he left, they then regressed again. Can they build from this now? Watford, I said they'd be 18th, they came 14th, and the reason why I said they'd be 18th is because of what they've done the day that I'm recording this video, sacking a manager. In fact, I said in my notes, Watford went for a whole season without firing a manager. What do? They sack a manager the day I'm recording it, a few days after the season's ended. This is all I've got to say for Watford. Instability, not backing the manager. Tom Cleverley, under the circumstances, I think did a great job. They regressed in the end. No team picked up fewer points than Watford the second half of the season. So he did a good job under the circumstances. I don't know what they're going to achieve by firing another manager until they get their act together, which they're clearly not going to, or sell the club. Don't see how Watford do anything else than what they're doing right now. And the final team, we've got West Brom. Wasn't really sure what to think about them. It always feels like there's a bit of unrest from West Brom. It's not really, you know, comfortable, I'd say, with West Brom typically. I said 6th, they came 9th. They've had 3 different managers this season, a caretaker, Tony Mowbray, and Carlos Corbehan, of course. 19 draws, though, is ridiculous. That is an unbelievable return in not a good way. That's what's cost them ultimately, isn't it? Having all those draws. That's all I really got to say on West Brom, and that is my prediction reaction to the Championship. I'll do this for the Premier League in a few weeks' time. Some howlers in there: Luton, Blackburn, Sunderland, Swansea to a point. Some ones on target. I say on target, just one. It was Plymouth, so thanks Plymouth. Please, if you have enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to Rads if you're new, and up the Reds. I'll still say that because why not? Thanks for watching.